Welcome back. It's to resume our daily press review, and we're glad to be joined today by Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Thank you, Dr. Mervat, for joining us today.
Thanks to you.
We'll start with the Al-Ahram main banner, which states, "The President says Egypt is founding the state of justice and equality. We do not interfere in the issue of the judiciary and equal before the law." The President shares the judges celebrating their day. The President says to the judges, "Your mission is to enable the Egyptians to achieve their rights and learn their duties. No power over the judiciary except that of the law, and no superior except God and conscience." Still with the same issue, and from Al-Masri al-Yawm, we read El-Sisi in the celebration marking Judiciary Day says, "Justice is the basis of the state." The President meets with the Supreme Council of Judges for 45 minutes. President El-Sisi attends a ceremony held to mark Judiciary Day at the premises of the Supreme Judiciary House. In his speech, El-Sisi praises the role of the judiciary and the prosecution in upholding the law and carrying out duties during the current critical period. And still with the same issue, and from El-Yawm El-Sabi, we read the President shares the judges' breakfast on the occasion of the Judiciary Day. El-Sisi says there is no difference between who is powerful and who is weak before the podium of the judiciary. The President says to the judges, "Your history is honorable and your responsibilities are huge to make the Egyptians achieve the rights, and reforming laws become a must." The head of state reiterates his commitment to the independence of the judiciary according to the constitutional principle of separation of powers. El-Sisi was received in the Supreme Judiciary House by Prosecutor General Hisham Barakat and head of the Judges Club Ahmed El-Zind. Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab, a number of ministers and judges also attended the celebration. Dr. Mervat, how do you see the state of the judiciary these days in the new era?
You mean in the new Egypt, right?
In the new Egypt.
Yes, definitely there is a huge change. This is how a state should be, built on an independent judiciary that is not influenced or actually the President does not interfere in the judicial affairs. And, one of the major characteristics of an independent state is to have an independent judiciary. And certainly the judiciary, if you remember, has played a very important role in the uprising of June 30th.
Right.
And before that, during the the disastrous era of the Brotherhoods, they have entouraged or besieged the high institutional court, constitutional court.
How do you compare the judiciary life between the two eras?
Is there any comparison you can make? In my opinion, there is no comparison.
There is no.
Of course.
Right.
But why? Because this is a civilized president. You have seen how much he's dealing with issues, in Egypt, whether he shared with the Copts their feast.
Right.
And he went to church, which was not done
first
before.
President,
Exactly,
right. The first
exactly.
president
To
take
really
this,
to take part in a feast.
Right.
Okay. Sadat went just to pay condolences.
Right.
And before that, Nasser went
era.
just to lay down the foundation for the cathedral,
Right. This is true.
and then to open the cathedral. But the first one to really share. Why? Because he was very keen to show everybody, you are my children. Okay? You are all equal. I share with you. And you see his face, which really gives an indication that this guy is really, sharing from his heart. He's not going to compliment.
This is true.
Okay? And this is a person who really respects the law. And if he does, no one can ask him, to pardon X or Y or Z. I find it really, humiliating. Not just to the Egyptian state, but to him himself. Because he was seeking justice for the Egyptians. not just for one person or two persons. He
Right.
saw how the brotherhoods wanted to step on us, and he prevented them with courage, which earned him our love. Otherwise, this guy wouldn't have been loved that much. His love was overwhelming, and it's actually the people who brought him to power, not
This is
anyone
true.
else.
He enjoys a great popularity.
Definitely, definitely. And mind you, a state without a judiciary has no justice, has no equality, has no, a future. Because if you know that this state respects the law, you will come and invest, right? As
Right.
an investor. You need laws that are stable. You need a country to work in that respects the law and does not differentiate between those who are coming to invest in our countries and are labeled foreigners and those who are born here. I mean, real citizens. So this is a man who shows deep respect, not like Morsi. It's an era that we want just to wipe off the map of our history, because there was
Right.
no respect of anything. You remember the people whom he pardoned, they went out and killed so many Egyptians, whether it be police force, whether it be army, whether it be real citizens of Egypt.
And the situation in Sinai, I mean, he was the
Of
main
course,
cause behind
of
what's
course,
taking.
of course. This is a guy who understands the tactics of how to protect his people. Okay, we are facing terrorists. See, four terrorists in France made a big thing. We have how many fours? Multiplied by 20,000 or something.
course.
This is what Egypt is facing. And this shows the greatness of the Egyptians. They can survive with anything.
Right. And
Okay.
how do you comment on the situation in France? What's taking place during
I'll
the
tell you
past
one thing.
2-3
Okay,
days?
let's. I'm slightly puzzled by one thing. Okay, the finding of the ID card, and then in the first thing they said, okay, we do. These are highly trained people. If I'm a highly trained, I wouldn't forget my ID
My
card.
ID.
So there is somehow something fishy about the situation, okay? But this is, I am not pro any violence of any sort,
Of course.
okay?
Yeah.
And mind you, Islam is not about killing. Islam was never about killing, okay? And still, my question, I wrote yesterday a little, post on the internet, on Facebook. I was appealing myself to our Sheikh Al-Azhar to really wake up. It's a wake-up call for him.
Yeah, the role of Al-Azhar is very important
Exactly.
during these days.
If it is the Azhar that you and I know, it has become something totally different with a big question mark.
Right.
Okay.
And we move on to another issue that also dominated the headlines in the papers today. And from Al-Ahram front page, we read, for Mahlab and Pope Tawadros received the Patriarch of the Ethiopian Church, Matthias I, says, I pray for the continuation of stability and strong relations between the two countries. Ethiopian Orthodox Patriarch Matthias I arrives in Cairo on the first visit to Egypt. And still with the same issue from Al-Yom Al-Saba, we read an official reception for the Patriarch of Ethiopia at the Abbasiyya Cathedral. Matthias I visits Old Egypt churches and Wadi Natrun. Pope Tawadros says it's a historic visit. How do you see the visit
I want to tell you
of the
something.
Ethiopian
There
Pope?
is a distinction, okay? There is no interference of the religious authority in Ethiopia, or as it was at the time of Haile Selassie. This is no longer the situation. So let's give its issue, let's give every issue its really true layout. This is not going to make, alter the opinion of the government. Mind you, the people are like us. People everywhere are the same. It's governments or administrations
So you mean politics does not really interfere with
Feel-
religion?
Of course not. Not in Ethiopia
Not in
anymore.
Ethiopia, right.
Okay. Besides, mind you, these are maybe on the human level. Okay, that Egyptians are not stealing the water of the Nile. Egypt existed long before Ethiopia even was drawn on the map.
Right.
We've been always living on the Nile River. This is not, hey, surprise, the Nile River goes through Egypt. Egypt has been always there. Egypt is the oldest nation. The river has been always our source of existence, okay? So we share it. And maybe Pope Tawadros, whom I really have a great respect for the guy, he is really, going at least to lay down this idea that the Egyptians are stealing the water. The water of whom? There is no nation, because it is found on the source, that it is, controlling the water, or it is taking all the water.
Right.
Okay, and we are not against the development of Ethiopia. Definitely not. We can even help. We've been always helping Africa. So what's new? It's only at the time of Hosni Mubarak, who took it personally, the attempt on his life in Ethiopia, and withdrew from the African continent, which was really a huge stupidity on his part. Okay, and Morsi, even when he came, he didn't make anything better.